Ahoy! Quick, what are gamers' favorite combination of 3 letters?
RPG!
Yeah, that's a good one.
FPS!
Great selection!
KYS!
What the hell? I was looking for DLC. I've never been a fan of downloadable content, mostly because I never got the concept of pay a lot of money to play a game and then give us even more money to play more of that game. But you see, that was always a bit of a ignorant mindset. You're getting more of a game that you like for a not so bad price. And as I look back, some of my favorite gaming experiences have been these DLCs. Just back then we used to call them expansion packs. Tomb Raider: The Lost Artifact is probably my favorite game in the franchise, and that's just a 6th-level expansion to Tomb Raider 3, which was my least favorite of the classic trilogy. Doom 3 Resurrection of Evil was a banger of a play that yielded more intense enemy encounters than the original Doom 3, which by the way I owned 12 times. Oh, and the part 2 for Mortal Kombat 11, Aftermath, was a really awesome continuation of the already excellent main game story. I should get around to Chaos Reigns. But anyway, so that's what I wanted to do today. I wanted to cover a pair of DLCs that I've been meaning to get to. Elden Ring's Shadow of the Erdtree and Maneater's Truth Quest. Now I'm guessing most people that clicked on this video care more about Elden Ring, so let's do that first.
Shadow of the Erdtree released this past June and people were all in on it. The general consensus online is that it was really good. Some people went as far to say that the DLC should have won Game of the Year. Well, let's see about that. I was taken a bit back by it costing $40. Damn, that's crazy. But then again, the price of video games I'm sure is going to be a strenuous subject for the next while. I get it, things are more expensive now, but I remember growing up in a time where full games cost $40. Okay, now that it's downloaded, it's time to access the DLC. So Shadow of the Erdtree isn't a post-game adventure. Instead, there are 2 methods to access it during the game, both of which aren't mentioned to you at all, which furthers my issue of how Elden Ring is too cryptic for its own good at times. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people can agree on this, but thank God for Elden Ring content creators on YouTube. Without them, I don't think I would have progressed past the menu screen without their help. The first method apparently involves you invading other players' worlds online 3 times, and that was an instant nope to me. The last thing I want to do is try to fight someone who actually knows how to play the game. The second method involves you being pretty far along the main story, which I so happen to be. In the mountains, there is a region to the west you can only access via 2 pieces of a secret medallion. While one piece isn't a reasonable enough area to find, the other is legit on the other side of the f***ing world, hidden in some random ass cave that you have to get from this guy hiding in a pot. And then you have to access the west end of the mountains and go all the way to the edge to find this portal, which doesn't activate unless you beat the summon in the area. Then you'll get taken to this underground fortress filled with annoying enemies, proceed through a dungeon, and fight a big bad boss so that you can interact with this statue thing that then, only then, takes you to Shadow of the Erdtree.
This all just feels so contrived. How the f was I supposed to know to do all this without YouTube guides? Elden Ring just doesn't tell you anything. It feels like it would have made far more sense for you to be able to access this area from the round table. But no, going for the obvious approach seems to go against the Souls-like religion.
We get transported into a cave and we make our way out onto the Land of Shadow, and God, I forgot how gorgeous Elden Ring is. But anyway, so we start making our way and I get hit by this feeling of, what the hell am I supposed to do now? I promise I'm not gonna keep reiterating a lot of what I said in my original Elden Ring video, but god damn, at the end of the obvious path it divulges onto like 3 paths, and I didn't think I'd be referring to YouTube guides so soon. What's the story? I don't know, I kinda glossed over it, but I do think I should mention that people online weren't super satisfied with the lore it contributed. Regardless, Shadow of the Erdtree throws you another pretty seismic open world to explore. It's obviously not as big as the main game map, but it's still much larger than I expected it to be, and probably bigger than most people expected it to be. Which, hey, right off the bat, kinda makes the $40 price point not so bad. Like in Elden Ring, the overworld is filled with a bunch of new scary and giant monsters for us to fight, and these are some of the greatest enemy designs in gaming. The bosses too! I am continuously impressed with how From Software continues to concoct such grotesque yet captivating models. I'm still waiting for Killer Bread. The lands are also filled with these caverns with optional boss battles and a handful of legacy dungeons too. And in regard to the legacy dungeons, here in Shadow of the Erdtree, I'd say they are the perfect length. While I can't admit how it did feel awesome beating the giant legacy dungeons of Stormville Castle, Volcano Manor, or the Capital, I appreciated how in this expansion, the big dungeon areas found that perfect middle between being not too short and overstaying their welcome. Also, there are a bunch of bonus areas to discover that aren't on the story path, which gave you so much to do and 100% satisfies that exploration element that people have. Now, of course, Elden Ring heavily depends on being hard as fuck, But this expansion came out 2 years after the original game, which also means that people who have been fully playing it will probably be so leveled up and so powerful that they could easily wash whatever Shadow of the Erdtree throws at them.
Well, not really. Shadow of the Erdtree has this scaling system where all your stats pretty much reset, even if on paper you're supposedly all-powerful.
In this DLC, 2 new key items we collect are Shadow Blessings, and these help scale you. The more you collect, the more powerful you get, and up to speed of where your stats are.
Now here's the thing about that. I get it, but I hate it. It makes sense to me. Having a new system to scale you regardless of where you are in the main game is a pretty good idea. Cause I can imagine how unfun it would be to finish the main game, be all powerful, pay $40 for an expansion pack, and just breeze through it without any challenge. But at the same time, I hate it because I'm not excited for the challenge of dealing with ball-crushing enemies and watching all the work I put into making Daedalus an all-powerful being go to waste. But still, the scaling in Shadow of the Erdtree is a really good thing. I just fucking hate it. Take a guess why.
Good God, the boss battles once again were a fucking mess. Now again, as much as I said I love the look of them, the design, the aesthetic, the music, it all goes away with the realization of, oh shit, I have to fight these guys. Now the bosses are insane, they are so thrashy and so broken, it's genuinely fucking annoying. Especially with the first main boss being this divine beast dancing lion thing. By the way, the name Divine Beast fundamentally just makes me angry for other reasons. But in the boss fight, he shifts around so frantically, especially when you're next to him, that the camera becomes a whole second boss fight in and of itself. The bosses are tough, and I know complaining about boss fights in a Souls game is as stupid as complaining that it's too dark at night, but I'm sorry, if I'm entering a fight with a boss-specific summon, a +7 Mimic Tear, and a character I've spent months leveling up and we are all getting our asses systematically handed to us on a platter made of our own charred bones, excuse me if I'm a little peeved. This is why I'm on the hate side of the scaling system. All the time, all the hours I spent getting my health to where it is, just to still be one-tapped. Like, what the fuck is this, dude?
But still, if you're a Souls fan who likes this kind of stuff, then you should be satisfied. You sick fuck.
Other than that, anything else worth mentioning when it comes to the expansion? Well, Shadow of the Erdtree has a bunch of armor, weapons, items, and such that you can take with you to the main game. You can easily fast travel between the lands between and Lands of Shadow anytime you like, which is probably the most user-friendly thing From Software ever did. Overall, I'm really happy with my purchase. I got to experience some more fun Elden Ring gameplay, I got to fight some new freaky enemies, defeat some bosses, and explore gorgeous sceneries. The DLC is gigantic. It's pretty much its own full game within a game. I think it's roughly 30 hours long. It has things I hate about it, but a lot of it is just continuing the things I hate about Elden Ring. End of the day, I knew I loved the DLC when I reached the final boss and got a little sad that it was over. I then thought back to how some people said that the DLC should be Game of the Year for 2024, and started really contemplating that sentiment. I sat and thought about what other games came out in 2024. What was there? Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Astrobot, Star Wars Outlaws, Echoes of Wisdom, Black Myth Wukong, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Princess Peach's Showtime, Suicide Squad, Skull and Bones, Funko Fusion. It's not a bad year for games, but nowhere near as good as 2022. But damn it, I guess I'm also on the boat now for Shadow of the Erdtree probably being the best thing released in 2024. If you love Elden Ring and you've put off getting Shadow of the Erdtree, I think you should stop putting it off and get to it, because it's probably the greatest DLC in all of gaming.
Well, that's all I have to really say about Shadow of the Erdtree. I haven't beaten it yet. I'm up to the final boss, who, by the way, reminds me of Marissa from Street Fighter 6. But I still have a lot to explore, which makes me happy. This is probably the best purchase I've made in the last 6 months when it comes to money spent to entertainment ratio. But there might be another purchase to give Shadow of the Erdtree a run for its money. The Maneater DLC. Now, Maneater isn't as known, so let me give you a quick gist.
Maneater was like the spiritual successor to Jaws Unleashed. You play as a killer shark and start terrorizing this coastal city, attacking its beaches and fighting the fishermen after you. It has RPG elements, Shark PG elements where every time we leveled up, we got bigger and bigger and even gained the ability to evolve into a more grotesque creature. Maneater gave us this big open area to swim around and gave us plenty of objectives and collectibles to keep us busy. It's a simple premise, but it's good stuff. I like to compare it to junk food. It's easy to just grab and consume.
Like a shark!
But the reason why Maneater doesn't get too much attention is probably because of how it's not the best running game.
Well, duh, you swim in it.
The game's frame rate is bad. Like when it's just you as the shark swimming around, it's fine. But for every fish or enemy that enters the vicinity, the frame rate starts to drop. Even when you boot up the game, the studio logos lag, which already is alarming. Also, the game's combat isn't the best. It's so thrashy, it's so random, the camera seems like it's having a tantrum. Not only is the combat so random that the shark you play as can find itself flying across the map, but the monitor you're playing the game on will too. I wonder if this is what it's like being an Elden Ring boss. But anyway, couple the combat being the equivalent of trying to give two cats a bath simultaneously while blindfolded, and the frame rate being 60 frames per minute, it's not great. But end of the day, it was a really fun game to play nonetheless because you're playing as a fucking shark that's just ripping and tearing through whatever's in front of it. I 100%ed the game when I first played it, I got the platinum trophy for it, and I can honestly say I look back at it with positivity. But what's bringing me back to it? Well, to keep it simple, I was looking through my trophies and saw that Maneater was at like 83%, which, whoa, I got the platinum, what the chum is going on here? Well, it's because the game got a DLC expansion, which includes a whole bunch of new trophies, the Truth Quest.
So with a deprived need to see that number be back at 100%, and also with the fact that the DLC was on sale and rather than being $14.99 was now just under $4, oh f*** yeah, let's jump back in. Or shall we say, jump back in the water.
So I haven't booted up Maneater since when I did the video for it back in 2021, and oh man, it sure felt like it. Controlling the shark was a massive adjustment, and even the combat. But it's not something for me to complain too much about. I got the hang of it pretty quickly, as during my time playing it, I didn't even realize that I had already pretty much got a handle on the controls. While combat is still not the best, I then realized something.
The game is an homage to classic shark horrors. In this movie Jaws, I don't know if you heard of it, anytime there was a shark attack, it would be portrayed with rapid cuts and close-ups of sheer violence in a thrashing manner. Now, intentionally or not, that's what the game does. It's rapid cuts and close-ups of sheer violence in a thrashing manner. So if anything, it's authentic.
So anyway, to access the DLC, we simply just gotta reach the post-game, and Maneater will tell you where to go to access the Truth Quest. Isn't that nice? So the story of the expansion is that a government agency called the NWO, not that one, is messing around with radiation and it's affecting the ecosystem, which is causing a lot of marine life to start mutating into dangerous creatures, and it's up to the shark to stop all of this. The explanation I just gave might not be totally accurate, but the story is given to us with a sarcastic narrator, so blame him. Anyway, the DLC starts off with giving us a couple of objectives in the main game map before it gives us access to the new area for us to explore, Plover Island. And it's this island that's filled with more collectibles to find, objectives to knock out, things to kill, and trophies to unlock. The boss fights in the game are more interesting, as some of the underwater enemies we encounter are similarly mutated to how the shark is. The humans we fight too are a bit more advanced, as we are now taking on helicopters and military speedboats. Some other new things we got with the DLC are some new evolutions. We have a brand new skin for the shark, which makes it this atomic hammerhead thing, and it's also pretty rad and also has a projectile attack. Along with that, not only do you have this entire new area to explore, but in the original game map, it does throw in some new objectives too. But the thing with Maneater is that while it's got a great art style, great aesthetics, solid humor, and just the overall awesomeness of playing as a fucking shark, it doesn't really have a ton of variety. Like, yeah, the game throws you a whole bunch of new missions to accomplish, but they're all the same thing. It's either kill 10 of these, defeat this boss, or knock out a time trial. But I don't know, as much as I can objectively see that the game doesn't have too much substance, I'm still enjoying it. I guess knocking out missions in rapid succession is giving me some form of burst of dopamine. And I guess just doing all that is better here in Maneater because you're doing it as a big badass killer shark, which I'm pretty sure is what I said in my original Maneater video. Despite everything going against this game, it doesn't really matter because you're playing as a shark and that's just awesome. It's different. We don't get a lot of games where you play as a shark, and it is for a reason. As much as I sit here and say that the game doesn't give you a whole ton of different things to do, at the same time, I can't really think of what else there would be to do. But anyway, I should talk about the DLC. Exploring the new map is fun, it's very military-based themed. The new evolutions are great. I like this one where it replenishes my health constantly as it is so useful. Like during a fight, if I'm in a pinch, trying to quickly find a turtle or something to replenish health seems like a waste because the health I get back is barely enough to make my stressful search for it worth it. And the final boss fight here feels more climactic than the final boss fight from the main game. The DLC is short, it'll take roughly 3.5 hours to fully knock everything out. And while I don't know how I'd feel if I had spent $15 for it, but just under $4, I'm happy with this purchase too. Plus, I got to play Maneater again, and if you haven't played Maneater, I think you should give it a try. For the right price, don't spend too much on it, as it is mindless fun. While it's heavily flawed, it's also heavily fun. Its issues with frame rate, combat, and just overall things to do is countered by the fact that you play as a fucking shark, and that's pretty badass.
Well, that's all I really have to say about Truth Quest. Is it a good DLC? Yeah, it gives you more things to do. Now, does it look like I'm unhappy? Yes. I went and got every single trophy for Truth Quest, and it wasn't hard. Just 100% of the game. And it's not a lot of things to do. But when I look back at my trophy stats, it still only says 97% complete. I think a bug might be messing with it. You know, I know it's a trivial thing to be upset about, but I'm still reeling after what happened with Tomb Raider Remastered. Okay, maybe this is one of those life lessons. You know, God is testing me. Maybe this is the moment I realize what truly matters in life and what doesn't. Oh, I found out that Elden Ring is getting a spin-off. Yeah, Night Rain. It's multiplayer only, which is a shame because I don't really care for online. Give me the trophy!